Hey guys, Frank here, your virtual general aviation aviator, and today I am back in one of my favorite aircraft, if not my most favorite aircraft, the PC-12. I'm also going to ask you guys to bear with me. I'm a little bit under the weather with a cold, but I don't want too much time to elapse between my recordings. So here I go. Today I am going to do an FSE economy flight. Incidentally, I've acquired a couple new aircraft since I've last made any videos. I've got the Phenom 300 corporate jet, and I got the SR-22 Integra. Yeah, Integra Cirrus SR-22 with the Integra avionics suite. If everything is going right, you guys should be able to see what's on my screen. And I am at Borax, Barron, California. And this is a waypoint that I had to manually load in the GTN 750, but it is in the X-plane default G530. So that was helpful. So I am going to fly these two passengers to this 82 nautical miles to John Wayne in Santa Ana, California. Okay, so let's go ahead and add those guys. And let's go ahead and reserve the aircraft. Okay, and I'm gonna run it dry. And let's see if I'm all ready for my flight. Okay. So I got these two assignments loaded up, and I do have an aircraft with 86 gallons of Jet A. Now, I can't buy Jet A here. So if the 86 gallons won't get me to Santa Ana, then I'm going to have to do something different. So let me figure that out. Okay, so what I think I could do, let's move this here. This is where I'm actually at. 57 CL. That's probably what I would have found it in if without having to add that waypoint. But anyway, let's see. So let's change this to 57 CL since we know what it is now. Well, actually, what might make more sense to avoid airspace is to go to Victorville. Military installation, but I think they do some GA traffic, and they got one of the longest, oh, it did get bigger, one of the longest runways you ever want to see. I think this runway is about three or four, maybe up to 5 miles long. So it's a pretty long one. So I could go here, which I'm starting to like a little bit better. That only is going to add minus the stop. It's going to add 9 minutes to my flight. I think I was at 41 direct, and I might even be able to pick up some passengers for Santa Ana. Of course, I don't see any passengers for Palmdale that want to go to Santa Ana. But let's check Victorville. Kilo Victor Charlie Victor. And I can pick up 3 more passengers for Santa Ana. So that's a done deal. So let's go ahead and get them reserved so that some other FSEconomy pilot doesn't pick them up. And now I've got 5 people I can fly into Santa Ana, which might make this flight a little bit more profitable. Well, I'm sure to make it a little bit more profitable. Okay, so um, that's pretty much what I'm gonna do with the groundwork. So this is the STMA version of the PC-12. It may not be as nice as the Coronado brand visually, and the sounds does not stack up to the Coronado PC-12, but the systems more than make up for it, in my opinion. There's a guy who has a channel. His name is Gene, and he's a PC-12 pilot, and he will tell you he's a real world PC-12 pilot, and he will tell you that the Coronado PC-12 is not nearly what you would want to do a real world looking flight with the PC-12, but I wish I could mishmash the STMA version and the Coronado version together and come up with a really nice aircraft, but I can't. And STMA still promises to develop the PC-12 NGX or the 47E, the NG, which will have the Honeywell Primus Apex avionics suite, which is why we haven't seen the PC-12 yet. At least not the NGX version, because that avionics suite is a heavy lift. But I digress. Let's keep going here. All right, so battery 1 comes on. I got 24 volts, and battery 2 can come on. I really need a little bit more voltage to technically start this thing, but at this airport, I'm not going to get a GPU, so let's just keep going with it. All right, so let's go ahead and make sure our brakes are set. Condition level is set. PCL is set, and we're not going to stall because we don't want to lose any more on the battery. Okay, so we're going to hold down the starter button for 2 seconds, and then we're going to watch our NGs come up, and when they get up to 12.5%, then I'm going to introduce fuel to the turbine engine, and that should light off the turbine. Okay, so you see the interstage turbine temperature coming up, and it peaks and it should come right down. If it doesn't come down, I'm going to need to shut down immediately, or else run a $500,000 engine. All right, so it's down. So it looks like, guys, I've got a good start. But anyway, let's go ahead and get our generators on. Generator 1, generator 2. Inverter is set. Standby bus is off. Avionics 1 and Avionics 2 is on. Beacon is on. Let's go ahead and turn our nav on. And I had my switch for my nav turned on, so I actually thought it was on before I started. And let's go ahead and turn our taxi light on and our inertial separator. Let's get that on. Okay, start up our Garmin 750 and check this caution light. Okay. So I am going to fly visually to Palmdale since it's such a short flight and it's not cloudy. So let's go ahead and squawk 1200 VF aura altitude reporting. And okay, so it knows I'm on the ground and it will switch to altitude reporting automatically. All right, let's go ahead and test our autopilot. And it tested out fine. Let's go over here and make sure that we get our transponder turned on here. And I think that's why when I was trying to squawk altitude, it kept going back to standby. All right, so that's ground, and or maybe, yeah, I think it just knows I'm on the ground. Okay, well, now that's saying altitude, but this is giving me a ground. So I'm squawking altitude, but it knows I'm on the ground. So, hey, it's smarter than I am, maybe. All right, so we do have a caution. Our environmental control systems needs to come on. And we've got to do a pusher test. But before we do our pusher test, we're just going to keep going. As much as I have flown this aircraft, I have not flown it enough to develop a flow, which is something that I really need. In fact, what I really should do is just print out a checklist and kind of follow it. Okay, so one of the cool things that I've learned about this aircraft is when something is blinking up here is trying to get my attention, and the NG is at 59.8 and it needs to be at least 60 to not blink to stop getting my attention. So I'm going to take the condition lever, not the the condition lever, and just add a little bit power until I get to 60, and now it's happy. Okay, so I still got my pusher test to go according to the crew alert system of the cows, and let's see. All right, so I do want to make sure I got all my systems turned on, and let's get that guy turned on. Turn on weather. Let's we're gonna fly via using the GPS, so let's set this guy up for GPS. And I know this is hard to read, but it is what it is. But this says GPS. I'm just gonna cycle through them for you. That's GPS 2, and that's AO AOL, not AOL, AOI. I had looked up what that stands for, but for some reason I can't. Angle of a no, can't recall. So I'm not a real world pilot, but that's I'm actually on system one, and that's nav one and back to GPS. Okay, and if I wanted nav two, then I think I could come down here and click two and get nav two, or even GPS two. I think. Well, I don't think GPS two. Yeah, there's GPS two. I was just about to say I don't think GPS two is modeled, but it is. I've never flown this particular aircraft and tried to use the GPS two. Um, I have learned that if I want to switch between GPS 1 and 2, then this is the button to do so. Um, and so for this video, I am going to stick with GPS 1. Incidentally, I had mentioned Gene. I am going to put a link to his channel in the description. So if you want to see the notes when I get wheels up, when I land, without having to watch the preamble, the ground stuff, then if you just click the show more below, then you'll see time codes, or you can scroll along the bottom and it will show you takeoff and landing. Okay, when I say the bottom, there's a bar just up under the video that has some time marks on it. Okay, so where are we? We are still getting situated here for this flight. Now, as I mentioned before, in real life, it can take a pilot sitting in the, he or she would spend some time probably at home or at some place away from the airport the night before, familiarizing with the flight. And once he get to the airport, he or she could spend another 2 to 3 hours planning and checking weather, making sure that he's familiar with all relevant information before he even start the pre-flight. And then, as you know, the pre-flight process can take another 45. Well, I actually don't know what it takes to pre-flight in real time. The PC-12 Gene is a good resource to ask these types of questions. This real world pilot lives and breathes the PC-12. So if you got any questions that you want to ask the real life pilot about the PC-12, check out his channel. Okay, let's see. So where am I? Okay, so I still got the pusher test to go, and which I will get to. Okay, so let's go up here. My inertial separator is on. Probes are on. We can go ahead and turn on the fasten seatbelt sign or the passenger advisory. And our runway is straight out. So when I spun back in, the aircraft spun in a different orientation. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our pusher test. So the developers, the STMA developer, did do some work to try to mimic or simulate a real life pusher test properly to the best of his ability, which I think is so cool. So let's go ahead and do our lamp test, and all my lamps are working, as you can see. Okay, and a fire test, and I do get my fire warning, engine fire, and fire detection indicators. Okay, and let's do this pusher test. Okay, so I need to add takeoff flaps 15 degrees. And I've learned from Gene that in real life it usually take about 22 seconds for the flaps to come down on the PC-12 to this 15-degree mark. Thereafter, it can go a lot faster. Okay, so I need to have my torque at or above 5%. Okay, so look like I'm going to level off at about 5.5, 5.4, somewhere there about, but I should stay above 5 at this point. Okay, so I'm going to press and hold this guy and pull up on my yoke. I'm gonna check the pitches, and my yoke should shake. There we go. And on that last one, the yoke just kind of pulled me forward. So, you know, it's if it detects a stall, then it's going to try to help you get out of that stall. Okay, so that's it for my pusher test. No more cast messages, and let's get some weather here. So the best way to get weather is to get it from the closest field, which is going to be 9 Lima 2, or Edwards Air Force Base North. Sorry about the
Terrace Sky Park weather.
Screen blacking out.
Wind 100 at 6, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 33,000 few, temperature 27, dew point -10. Altimeter 3003.
Okay. And we've got our weather for the closest airport that we could get it from. And what we've learned is our altimeter, the closest altimeter that we can use is 3003. And let's put it on our backup here. And a lot of times I don't use this backup because it's just so hard to read. And I know you can't see it because I can hardly see it, and I'm sitting right up on it. 6543. So 2400 and 2400, the actual field elevation is 2399, so that's consistent. So that's cross check. Winds were 100 at 6. So 6 is going to be our best runway, and I don't think there's a taxiway to 6. We are going to back taxi. Baron traffic, Pilatus 9875 Foxtrot, back taxiing into runway 6, Baron. Boron. Okay. Brakes can come off. Now, I've had this happen before. Sometimes the brakes will get stuck for some reason, and chocks are still on. Duh. Okay. And yeah, what's next? Okay. So taxi lights are on. Flaps and trims are set. PC condition is at idle, and brakes can come off. Just double checking that taxi light. And I already made the radio call to let any traffic know that I'm back taxiing. Of course, in real life, I would make it again because of the time, but the nice thing about a sim is you can take some liberties. Now I'm not in beta and I'm not on my brakes. Let's see what my ground speed is. So I'm at 26 knots. So, but I actually did have a lot more torque in than I should have had in. I just recently learned from Gene, he's my go-to right now, that that I had been overusing my reverse thrust way too much. Probably had been kicking up all kinds of fodder and debris into the engine on my landings. Okay, let's see if we can't make a turn around here. And I think that's worth taking a look at. Just curious as to how that looks. And if any of you guys are watching any of my videos, you know that I'm not one to do a lot of outside views. I'm hoping to get better with that. Oh, that is so cool, isn't it? That's called a differential turn. Okay. But really and truthfully, anybody who's watching this video would know that. Okay. All right, so we're lined up. Baran traffic, Pilatus 9875, Foxtrot, taking off runway 6, straight out, Baran. Condition level 4, strobe lights should have been on, landing light should have been on, and takeoff power set. Do have a little crosswind here. Airspeed's coming alive. Airspeed's alive. Rotate. Positive rate. Tap the brake. Gear up. I got a lot of back pressure on the yoke, so I'm gonna trim it. Hold my runway heading till I get in front of the aircraft. Set my heading bug. Yaw damper should come on. Autopilot is now on. And GPS. So let's go to nav. And I should be acquiring my magenta line. Of course, in real life, I would have spent more time looking for traffic too, especially out in the desert where people might be flying a little bit of everything. I would imagine that there's probably a lot of experimental stuff out here. Flaps up. .36 is my climb power. 200 indicated, 233 over the ground. Okay, so I should be acquiring my general line, gasoline check, fuel check, oil check. And let's re-engage this guy, and I see I'm okay. So less than 1,000 to go. And 1,200 vertical speed. 1,200 feet per minute is my vertical speed ascent. I'm on nav, autopilot, yaw damper zone. Use the GPS to do that. Okay, ADOS is 135.37, and I might overfly Victorville. With a 22 nautical mile flight in a PC-12, I should have started tuning my radio as soon as I got airborne. .47. Come to
Southern California Logistics Information India. 2300 Zulu weather. Wind shear alert. Wind 270 at 15 gust 26. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 34,500 view. Temperature 26. Dew point 15. Altimeter 3011. Arriving runway 35. Departing runway 35. Advise on initial contact, you have India.
Okay. I know I'm gonna land on 35, but I didn't hear my winds. Need to learn how to multitask, how to listen and
Southern California Logistics Information India. 2300 Zulu weather. Wind shear alert. Wind 270 at 15 gust 26. Visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 34,500 view. Temperature 26. Dew point 15. Altimeter 3011. Arriving runway 35. Departing runway 35. Advise on initial contact, you have India.
okay, I got India. Okay, so I'm pretty close to Victorville. In fact, there's Victorville right there. All right, so we want runway 35. The field elevation is 28.77. So we need to get down to 38 or 39. Try to avoid dropping like a rock. Fuel is pretty low. Let's see, I should get my fuel warning lights when I get down to somewhere around 40 minutes of reserve. Victorville traffic, Pilatus 9875 Foxtrot is on downwind, about 3 miles south of the field, inbound, runway 35, 4 stop, Victorville. I hope I told them I was at the right place. All right, so we got winds at 1.5, gusting to 2.5 from the west. And so hard to look out the window for a VFR landing.
1,000.
Sounds like I'm pretty low. Okay, there's my airport over there. Okay. So my heading bug is set for 3.5. So that means I need to line up here. Get me some flaps in. And get me some landing gear down so I can turn some landing lights on. Victorville traffic, Pilatus 9875 Foxtrot on final for runway 35 Victorville. Okay, so it don't feel like I'm lined up for. All right, where's my runway? Let's see. I think this is going to be it right here. Trimmed out a little bit. 15 degrees of flaps in. Let's go to 30. Pull back on my torque. Find me a touchdown spot.
500.
Pretty high.
100.
Luckily, I got plenty of runway.
Sink right, sink right, sink right.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
I messed up that flare. And let's track back to the middle line. I'm not in reverse, I'm in beta. And I'm not on the brakes. A little brake in here to help me with this turn. And I was in beta and then caught myself speeding up, which means that I was going in the reverse. Alright, so my trim needs to be fixed here. Let me get off the runway. Victorville traffic, Pilatus 9875 Foxtrot is clear the runway. clear runway 35 Victorville. Since they got multiple runways, then I guess it would help to let them know what runway I'm clear of. I tell you, these winds are something else. Okay, so there's my trim. Is, let's see, so I guess I should be turning my wheel into the wind, turning my ailerons into the wind. If the wind's from the west, then I'm turning my ailerons the wrong way. Alright, there's general aviation up there. Let's go up there and call for some gas. And let's see if we can't stay on this yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Okay. Let's help if I clean up the aircraft like I should. Strobes and landing lights come off and taxi lights can go on. And we're good here. So guys, I am going to shut it down, call for a fuel truck, and finish up the flight another day. So let's go ahead and shut down. Inertial separator can come off, probes can come off, taxi light can go off. Navs, which were on my panel, can go off. Beacon can stay on until I shut down. Brakes can be set, and ECS can go off. Emergency power system can go off, and EFOS can go to where that makes a difference. Oxygen can come off. Transponder off, and autopilot, yaw damper, and all of this good stuff I don't need. Could have cut it off, but that's part of my landing check. Well, okay, so I do have a low fuel light finally, and there's both of them. So definitely want to call for gas. All right. And I hear my, there we go. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this flight. Until we do the next one.
Y'all come back now. Here.